I need a mirror. It's not lathering much, Steve-O.
All right. We are getting irritated with fucking Clem. It's a fawn feather?
Yeah. Just podcasting.
You ready?
I was born ready.
All right, thanks for tuning into the Artemis channel today. We had a little technical difficulties downstairs at the bar, so we've moved into the Artemis studio. It's freaking awesome. We're going to talk today about, originally was going to be a caliber battle between 6.5 Creedmoor and 6.5 Grendel. And then as we kind of talked about it, it's not really an apples and orange thing. And even though a lot of guys like to make battles where there isn't really one, we're going to talk about 6.5 Grendel, 6.5 Creedmoor, why we've picked it. We're going to talk about the decisions that went into how we built our guns. We're going to talk about the different ammo that we use. We're going to talk about some successes that we've had with unaliving certain things. What else did we have on that list of stuff we wanted to cover? He's got his notes.
What we use, why we chose, our results, and possible additions to the stable.
Right, so that's going forward. So I'm going to let Clem start and talk about 6.5 Grendel and why he chose that and what he built, and then that'll segue over into 6.5 Creedmoor.
Grendel is relatively new. Alexander Arms came up with it, had a great idea because the military wanted to change from 5.56. They wanted something a little more punch, but also wanted something that would fit on the M4, M16, AR-15 platform. Because if you make changes too much, then why not just go back to 308, to 7.6251. I think they came up with a great product, considering the parameters that they had, which led to other similar caliber cartridge innovations, and they finally settled on 6.8 SPC2, which looks to be tremendous. But the innovation has just led to a lot of expansion and a lot of new calibers. Now, I specifically chose Grendel. I wanted something that was easy to shoot, not too expensive. I knew hunting around here in New Hampshire that I wouldn't need anything, you know, in a magnum caliber or anything huge. Given the distances, given the game, it kind of fills a niche.
We're going to have to let the dog in.
You want to stop? I'll let him in.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
I wanted to build it on my existing platform. I had built a very nice lower that I wanted to use for hunting. We were really getting serious about hunting. I thought I wanted to go with 300 Blackout. I wanted something suppressible, so forth. There's a lot that went into 300 Blackout, but I wasn't quite happy with the results I was getting ballistically and precision-wise. So I kind of changed my direction.
Let's talk about that 300 Blackout a little bit, because you get into that before we had technical difficulties with your subsonic rounds and your ballistics and...
True. And I initially got into the 300 Blackout because I wanted that caliber. I wanted, there was a particular suppressor that I wanted, and I wanted something, you know, for close range. And I liked the idea of 300 Blackout, which I do very much like. Then I started to see that, you know, maybe that's not a bad round for hunting. Particularly, there are a lot of hog hunters that just love that Blackout. But I think I went in the wrong direction. A lot of them use the varmint type lighter bullets, you know, 110, 115 grain, where I was right at the subsonic with the 220 grain, which I still want to try on hogs. And the noise suppression is amazing. It's my results with it are, it's quieter than a 22. It's pretty amazing. We shot it just a couple of weeks ago out in the woods. It's amazing. But again, I knew I was going to be probably out to 100 or 150 yards, and I wasn't getting the groups that I wanted. So I kind of changed gears. Steve had been hunting with 30-06, and this was probably right around the peak of 6.5 Creedmoor. It hasn't lost a whole lot, but this is when it was a hot topic, was 6.5 Creedmoor. And he wanted to build. I told him, I said, we can build your rifle, and we did. And he got a good starter kit, upper and lower from Aero Precision. Yeah. We pieced it all together. He Cerakoted it. We got nice handguard. I mean, since then we've swapped out some parts too. You got a custom trigger, really good Vortec optic. It just turned out to be a really nice build. So while he was doing that, I decided that I'd build something that I wanted to hunt with, and I came across the Grendel, where I could get into it for not a huge amount of money. Turned out to be more money than I thought it was going to be because I kind of built it twice. But I came up with something that I'm very, very pleased with. We talked about it in the other video where I had to change the barrels. I wound up with an Excalibur carbon fiber wrapped 20-inch barrel that is just amazing. I got rid of the ATN garbage scope that I had on the top of it, which didn't get any customer support on that, so I'm really kind of pretty hurt about that and not liking ATN at all. But I wound up with a Surefire that I'm very happy with. I also got a QLLC can, a jumbo shrimp, that makes it such a pleasure to shoot, and the carbon fiber barrel makes it very light. Very happy with the accuracy, no recoil. So at the same time, we started building Steve's. He wanted to get 6.5 Creedmoor.
Right, so I was looking at what could I build that was not going to be a 30 caliber round, because I already had the 30-06. I felt, as much as I probably going to get some hate here in the comments, I felt that 308 and 30-06, there was a lot of overlap. They kind of did a lot of the same thing. And to build that in a AR-10 platform, to me, seemed redundant to what I already had in the gun case. So I looked at what was going to be available for parts, and what was going to be available for ammunition. And I know there's a lot of niche AR companies that I can get some really neat caliber stuff, but I got to be able to get the parts for that. Affordability was a factor, and I get, like Clem said, I spent more money than I wanted to because we put in some premium components. I spent more money on that, and I also looked at 6.5, gave me the option of having parts that we could find to build the gun, and then ammunition that was going to be readily available, or at least not during the COVID mess that we had. But so that's how we came to that. Ballistically, I felt that round kind of fit underneath 30-06, certainly from a bullet size, and we can go all the way down into the 90s with the Varmageddon nozzle round. We could talk about stuff that's going to be in the 143 range, which is what I really like to hunt with. And then if I'm going to be hunting bigger game, then if I'm going into a bear hunt, then I'll my preference is bigger is better, and I'm going with 180 grain soft point, and then I'm probably carrying my Ruger in that case. But still, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here as we go. It really came down to those two choices for us, fit platforms that we were going to expand our gun cases with, and that seemed to be the best way, the direction for us to go. So let's talk about some ballistic numbers, and we can kind of get into that with you guys and show you what we had in mind, keeping in mind that I'm looking for the word here at the end. The energy at the end needed to be above 1,000 pounds in order to meet that benchmark of you need 1,000 pounds to kill a whitetail.
Right.
That's what I'm sorry. We need 1,000 pounds to unalive a whitetail. I think that's the most silly thing I've ever seen, but whatever. I don't hear Joe Rogan talking about unaliving.
Yes.
So that 1,000-pound benchmark was both of us. We had that discussion early on of that's where we needed to be. And when you look at this chart on the Grendel, you can see that even out to 400 yards, you're well above that 1,000 pounds mark. So we're well over those type of ranges. And we really, very rarely do we have an opportunity to shoot more than 100 yards. Really, that seems to be in the woods. And you woods guys know this. You get on the power lines, you might get a 300-yard poke. You get an opportunity to do that. But for the most part, 100, maybe 150 on a logging road. That's all of it.
That's right.
So
that's why 30-30, is so successful.
And to Tom's with his 35 Remington, same thing.
Right.
And we'll get into that stuff later on. And they don't.
Those are the Grendel numbers?
These are the 123 Grendel. So you can see.
Okay.
This is what I was talking
you're
about.
Over 1,000.
So
Okay.
you're 123 Grendel. You're at 400 yards. You've got 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. It's 1,027. If you had to push out to 425, you're just under that. So your velocity's good. Your elevation, you're in good shape. Your windage isn't bad. That obviously the ballistics of that 6.5 cartridge is outstanding, and that's why it's there.
Then shot placement is key. All other things being equal, shot placement.
We're going to harp on shot placement a little bit. There's a lot of guys out. Oh, you can kill a whitetail with a 22. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can. They've been doing it for centuries.
We're not going to tell you that you can do that. So, getting back to the 400 grains, 400 yards, 1027, that fits into that range of where we wanted to be, where Clem wanted to be as far as inside of 300 yards and being well over that weight. So I'll let you continue because I'm rambling.
And that 123 tends to be the sweet spot that a lot of the Grendel hunters agree on. It just seems to be right, accuracy-wise, energy-wise, velocity-wise. You can go a little bit bigger, and you can go lighter for varmints, but I wanted to be as high on that end of the scale for that ammunition as I could, which turns out to be 123. And being the same projectile, a little heavier, the Creedmoor is very similar. That's what we talk about when we mention, comparing apples for apples. Is you've got 6.5 Grendel, you've got 6.5 Creedmoor. If you shoot both of them using a 123 grain projectile, then the other factors, the velocity and so forth of the gun that you're shooting it from, basically, that's where the differences lie. You're not comparing, a 110 grain 243 versus 180 grain 30-06. It's just not the same ballpark.
So here's to Clem's point. Here's the graphic here on the 143 grain ELDX Hornady, and you can see way out to 800 yards. The numbers are almost identical to what they are in the 6.5 Grendel, so you can double your length. And not that I'm certainly not shooting 800 yards, and we don't see an opportunity to hunt at that distance here.
Right.
But I'm a believer that bigger is better, and if I can put a bigger bullet, we talked about that just a second ago with the bears. If I can go with 180 grain, I'm bigger. I like bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, chicks dig the long ball, right?
Yeah.
Hi, Tom.
Chicks dig the long ball.
All right, so we chose that. Yeah,
That's kind of why we came to these calibers, is that we figured that's what we wanted to use. We figured we weren't going to be shooting extreme long range, and it was within our budget. We built a couple of nice rifles. We practiced with them. We get down to MOA, and we were very confident. So we went on hunting with them.
So the successes that we've had, my AR, we took a Doll sheep with that. We took
We each took a whitetail.
Texas whitetail. I killed the dude with American whitetail 129 grain in the Ruger. And did we kill something else with one of those? In Texas?
We used the Bagara. We used Bond's Bagara.
That's right. No, it wasn't James. It wasn't Bond. It's Jonathan.
Jonathan. Yeah, okay. I get the two
Jonathan?
mixed up.
Tim. Jonathan. So we used Jonathan's Bagara B14 with a super cool scope with picture-in-picture and
With a QLLC jumbo shrimp on it, which I thought
and a
was
heavy
cool.
tripod. Not like it's not one of these experiences like not hunting like in New Hampshire.
Right.
He turns on the feeder, and a couple of does followed him out to the feeder like a puppy dog, and I had never seen anything like that before.
And the gun is on the tripod on the porch.
Yeah, this nice
98 yards away.
Yeah, nice big farmer's porch. The 70-inch TV with the game going in the background. I was just like, we are not at home.
We could pick and choose. He told us exactly when they all assembled at the feeder. Tom went first. He said, "Tom, take that one." And Tom put him down. We dragged that one back out of the way, which was a few dozen yards. I think it hopped twice and nosedived and was done.
Didn't go far.
Then I got up and did exactly the same thing. He said, "See the one with rack on one side, call him Lefty." Same thing. He hopped twice, nosedived into the bushes right there, and was done. And then it was Steve's turn, but it was too dark.
Yeah, my opportunity was there was a really nice, mature, I say big, but we talked about that before. The hill country bucks, comparable to the northeast bucks, there's no comparison. They're closer to Coues deer than they are what we see up here. Still a nice, big, heavy racked animal. This deer had personality. He's looking up at us on the porch, and he's looking at the feeder. And he's looking at us at the porch, and he's looking at the feeder. And he looks at us at the porch, and he looks at the feeder. And then he goes down behind the feeder, and he blows a couple times. Then he backs out, and he's looking back over his shoulder at the feeder, and then looking up at us. And you can almost
all the deer that are congregated at the feeder. It's like he was trying to warn them off.
and you can almost see him going,
"You guys are dumb."
"This is how you guys are going to get shot." Because I turned to the rancher and I said, "Can I shoot that one?" And no, you may not. We're going to keep his genetics in the pool for the time being. So that was a nice deer, and I'm of the belief that he had personality, and it was fun to watch him. Anyway,
It would have been so much fun to be able to put a camera on him during this whole thing, because you couldn't script it.
Yeah, no, this was before we were filming our hunts and before the Artemis channel was born. So speaking of our Artemis channel, check out the new We do Artemis Channel swag. I got my new sweatshirt. Okay.
Very nice.
So check that out in the link in the description. You can get yourself your own Artemis Channel sweatshirt. We've got some hats coming. Not this particular one. This is a one-off. I got this one over at Gator Graphics in Laconia, New Hampshire. Shannon's a big help to us, and she had this one on a shelf. It was a discontinued hat. She didn't like it. She wanted nothing to do with it. I said, let's put the A reticle on that and see what that looks like. And as soon as we put that, and I put that on my head, she went, oh, well, I like that hat a lot.
And I didn't think I was going to sell it to anybody because it's too big.
Right. No, yeah. Okay. So she gave me the hat, and we ordered a bunch more in a different style, and those are coming as well. So if you follow us on social media, those links are below, and you can see those hats that we've ordered up. And if you want to get one of those dry duck hats, we can do that for you. Okay, back to the no more ad. Back to the caliber battle.
So we took those two whitetails with somebody else's rifle.
Yep.
Which I think it was. I mean, for him it was right on. For both Tom and I, it was
a little
2 inches
it was a
lower
little low.
than we were aiming. So, but they were both heart shots. You know, they're both right on. Those deer didn't know what hit them
I thought
hardly.
that was low as well.
But that was a good hunt. That was great.
So, and we ended up. I took my Axis with my 6.5. Clem took his Axis with his 6.5. And then Tom took his Axis with his 35 Remington. So let's talk about what else is in the gun case. Tom's the outlier. Tom has a 35 Remington that he's had great success with down in Texas. Less so here in New Hampshire. He's got a cycling problem with his Marlin 336. And he's a little frustrated with that. And I don't know that he'll take it back in the woods with him again. He does have a Bergara B14 in 270 Winchester, and he hasn't had a lot of range time with that, and he hasn't taken it in the field yet. I suspect he's going to like that weapon a lot once he gets that going.
He should. I picked it out.
That's right. He picked it out all by himself. I had nothing. The father had nothing to do with it.
No.
Okay. Clem, let's talk about what's in your gun case.
Well, when I built that lower for the AR-15, I built the 300 Blackout, and I built the 6.5 Grendel. Then after we had these Texas hunts, and I realized I could have some chances coming up to need something a little bigger. I mean, I am no way putting down that Grendel because I've had such huge success, and I'll take that back to Texas every time I go. But then I built an AR-10 in 308. I'm very happy with that. That's quite the shooter. So as far as hunting rifles, that's about where I'm at.
Okay, so going forward, we think that, well, we don't think, Clem's going to be moving to Alaska here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And our podcasts are going to be done remotely via Zoom, which will be kind of an experience for both of us. But we think that there's going to be some big game hunting in our future up there. I'm certainly hoping so.
Definitely.
I will probably have not a purpose build, because I'm not going to build it, but I'm thinking in the future I'm going to go 300 Win Mag to go out there. I know that's an old school, that's not a trendy, sexy, but that round has killed unalived a lot of big game west of the Mississippi.
And I think Alaska warrants having something that big because of the game being more dangerous. We intend on going after bear, moose. We can use some other calibers if we want for the caribou and maybe some sika deer and some other stuff like that. But yeah, if we're going to go after bear, I'd rather err on the side of caution. Not that we don't believe in shot placement.
Shot placement's key. Have shot placement.
As Ron Spomer would say.
Yeah, let's talk about Ron for a minute. If you guys are, you've hung around this long into our podcast, we appreciate that. We are a big fan of Ron Spomer. He has a lot of great information out there on calibers, and you can really geek out on that stuff. He's like a professor when you're going to class. So it's not.
It's not just the numbers; he's got the experience.
Yeah,
he has
done
the
it.
experience.
So it's good stuff. So check him out.
There's a lot to learn, and sometimes it's a little dry, but he gives everything, and he always comes back to shot placement. Which, if you're going to use smaller rounds, if you're going to not spoil meat, it's about shot placement. We would much rather make an ethical kill and drop something DRT.
Dead right there. All right, let's talk about recoil a little bit. Recoil on his 6.5 Grendel, shooting 123 grains, nothing, 8 pounds. Right?
It's about non-existent.
Yeah, I can't say it's like shooting a 22, but oh boy, it's close. It's nice. Then you put that can on the front of it. Oh man,
yeah.
That is fun to shoot.
Sure is.
Creedmoor, it's well known for not having any recoil. He's got it at 15.3, 15 pounds. All right, we're going to talk about the ammo that we like. I'm a big fan of Hornady Precision Hunter ELDX. Neither of us reload. We're not doing our own stuff.
Not yet.
Good luck. I'm not doing that. I got so much other stuff on my plate.
True.
And I don't think I want to geek out about it nearly that much. If I was a competition shooter, then maybe. But for myself, I'm sub MOA at 200 yards with these quality rounds, so I'm okay. Precision Hunter ELDX 143 grain, like that. Kills deer dead, so that's good. If I'm carrying my Ruger American, then I'm going with 123 grain American Whitetail. I like the soft point, especially at closer distance. I like that bullet deformation, and the lighter round doesn't really bother me. Again, we're talking probably 100 yards. If I have the opportunity to go varmint hunt and get some coyotes, and I'm not going to tell you that I coyote hunt a lot. I don't like being out in the cold. I look at that as off-season, and I'm good. Varmageddon, Nosler, 90 grain. That's a good round, and I'll put that in the AR and sit in a nice warm blind somewhere if I can do that. But that's about the extent of my coyote hunting.
For the Grendel, my rifle seems to like the Hornady Black the best. That's this one here. I'm probably going to catch some flack because a lot of guys don't believe in using match ammo to hunt with. But, I've got a couple of very clean kills with it. One thing I always worried about was a bullet with such good ballistic coefficient might not expand, especially you get the lower end of the velocity there, you get into 1,500 feet per second. But, to date, I haven't had a problem. And I have very, very good groups. I've used a couple other kinds, and I'm going to try the Fort Scott because I hear really good things about the monolithic copper. So that's in the playbook. We'll try that.
What else is in the stable at my house? We talked about 30 cal, 30-06. I'm a big fan of 180 grain bullet. Going after big game, big dangerous game. Not that black bears are a big dangerous game here in New Hampshire, but
they can get upwards of 300 pounds.
Yeah,
not that you see them very often, but
they are around. As Gene was telling me the story the other day. I didn't tell you this yet. Was talking to a farmer up where we hunt, and took 2 sheep. Yeah,
no kidding.
So that's a big bear, and so we need to see if he shows up on camera. Close enough that he might. He might. Okay. So yeah, 30-06. If I'm going bear hunting, I'm carrying my 30-06, and I'm carrying a soft point 180 grain bullet. What else is in the stable? We talked about the Ruger.
Well,
the 6.5 Ruger.
The 30-06. I killed that sheep with it.
Yep.
You've taken a deer with it. You've taken a whitetail up here with it.
Yep.
And then we've both taken whitetail with your AR Creedmoor. That was my first Texas whitetail I took with that because I was having problems with that ATN scope.
Yeah.
And then took the Axis with my Grendel, which I'm very happy with. And there's your Ruger American.
I want to talk about. I know that if you guys have made it this long, we appreciate you sticking in there with us. 6.5 Creedmoor gets a lot of negative press, fanboys, and then the pushback on the fanboys. I am not a fanboy of 6.5 Creedmoor. It fit a niche, or it fit a slot in my gun case that I wanted to be, and it fit into an AR build for a reasonable amount of money for readily available ammo. Clem and I have had discussions where we talk about shot placement, and we've talked about in the other one where the other podcast where I had a whitetail that I didn't recover because I got cute with shot placement, and I shot an Axis in Texas that to this day I tell you I made a good shot, and we found 2 drops of blood and no Axis, to the point where I said to him, I get one more deer walk away from me with 6.5 Creedmoor, I am selling all this So I am far from a fanboy of 6.5 Creedmoor, but it does do the job. Shot placement I think is key, and we need to
Plus, we're not convinced that those 2 drops of blood were from that Axis. I'm not convinced. Tried to track that animal with a dog.
No, the rancher came out and tracked him, and then I came out. I tracked him for an hour. I grid searched, and then Matt came out, wanted to know how I was doing, and I told him, and he tracked with me the same spot, and he said the same thing. These 2 drops of blood are what you found. I'm like, yeah. And you were shooting over there, yeah.
And there were 5 of us canvassing that area.
And he went and got the dog, and the dog couldn't find it. And, long story short, you guys have, if you've done any research on Texas hunts, there's a lot of these pay hunt places where they tell you that if the bullet goes downrange, your hunt has ended. This is our first day, my first morning, and all I can think of is that this is gonna be a long week because I'm all done. And Matt, to his credit, looked at the dog, looked at us, and he says, "Well, the good news is there's plenty more where that one came from. Let's go into town and get something to eat."
That's right.
So we appreciate his hospitality on that, and that was great, and it all ended up working out for us. So, but I'm certainly not a fanboy when it comes to 6.5 Creedmoor.
But the next morning, you drilled one, and she was DRT.
Yep, that's for sure. With my purpose-built AR that we built specifically for that job. So I think that's a good place to end it. We will come back and revisit this. We are going to do a 30-06 versus 308. That'll probably be a little bit more versus. And we know that there's a lot of guys that are going to come down on one side of the fence or the other on that. So stay tuned for that. Upcoming episodes, we're going to have a turkey hunt. When we get turkey season finished, we'll have our turkey hunting episode come out. So we'll have that for you. So thanks for coming in, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. And we'll see you next time. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button, comment, like, hit the notification bell. You guys know the drill. Help us out. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot. There was a...
Yeah. Is it recording?
I think so.
You got that in there twice.